Chapter 3, Part 8. A decoration truck, or a decoratora for short, with an overabundance of decorative lights, a gleaming body kit, and downright gaudy coating on the shipping container. These trucks are nevertheless considered art nowadays, as part of Japan's unique culture. It was a bizarre vehicle controlled by some young truckers visible on even the nearby highway and in the parking lot. But if this decoratora was here, not in Tochigi or Chiba Prefecture, but here in the Czech Republic, with Hope's Peak students inside, then this was a game changer. As the decoratora parked near the Church of Bones, I noticed the words luxury and opulence, and the princess business. On the front was a gigantic painting of Princess Sonia on the side of the shipping container. The illustration was accompanied by some more words, and I'm pretty sure my IQ dropped several points just by reading them. Raised with the tenderest of care, I was princess before I knew it. My noble schooling may have brought me to tears, but I shall show you all the flower of hope blooming. Let's go, beyond the full stop. Sonia, never mind. There may have been some confusion, but I believe we've made it in time. The metallic door to the driver's seat opened, and Princess Sonia stepped out. She was met with a shower of cheers. The crowd that had just a moment ago been consumed with the aggression towards us was now going wild over the arrival of the super high school level princess. I guess it's a constant of human history that the best person both to caution the masses and to whip them into a frenzy is a beautiful young woman. Citizens of the Czech Republic, I offer my most sincere apologies regarding the recent scandal involving Hope's Peak Academy. Princess Sonia bowed her head in a graceful angle. I understand what would make you all want to toss Byakuya Togami-san into the nearest trash can and be done with him, but can you find it in your hearts to allow me to handle this issue? Can you allow me to rectify Hope's misstep? What an enviable influence. She hadn't actually said anything of much consequence, but the crowd lapped up the atmosphere that implied she had, calming completely. Sonia-san, please wait. Soda-san climbed over the gate that the decoratora had broken. Using Borg's parabolic microphone function, I focused on their conversation. Fret not, Soda-san, and raise your head. Hey, that's not it, Sonia-san, I'm not feeling down, I'm just kind of tired. I kind of ran top speed all the way here. Would it not have been better to ride on the decoratora? You're the one who went to all the trouble of making this in the first place, after all. I get motion sick real bad, did you forget? You did not have to go out of your way to see those scenes. Please don't call them scenes, Sonia-san. And how did you make it all the way from Japan, Soda-san? Did you forget that too? Certain someone said, if you're afraid of flying, then you can just sleep through it. Then they shot me up with who knows what was in that needle. I mean, it did knock me out for the whole flight, but... almost like King Kong, isn't it? Please sleep peacefully, just like the box office flop version. Yeah, that hurts more than I think you realize, Sonia-san. Is the information we received about Togami-san entering the Church of Bones reliable? He was caught on tape by the security cameras, although it looks like the two of them are still with him right now. How is Imposter doing? You heard the speech earlier, didn't you? He's already having the time of his life playing Byakuya Togami. Though he's kind of tweaking the character some to make him more of a good guy than the original. Togami-san is a cookie-cutter example of the easily misunderstood type after all. Like Zealous or Howard, although it's perhaps easier to understand than that. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, boy howdy! If you haven't got Sonia all choked up here. Anyway, this imposter guy's in peak condition, so now if we just get our hands on the real Byakuya Togami while we're here, we'll be set, so cheer up, Sonia-san. I suppose that is true. Having you assassinated as a national threat simply because you do not share interests would not be for the best. Any nation running that wild is just plain scary. Fret not. This is worth fretting about. Now then, it is time for us to do our job. And for that, we shall make the world checkmate. Princess Sonia burst out with a total non-sequitur signature line, facing us where we were perched by the steeples and pointing dramatically. There were more words than I could count that were bothering me and all that. But they would have to wait till later. Princess Sonia, Soda-san, Hope's Peak students were officially coming to attack us. I just had to think of a good way to get out of this situation. I had to think of one way to at least just survive. Just like back then. Scanning the perimeter, it looked like the area was under the control of Princess Sonia's charisma. The crowd stood still, with a general atmosphere of, let's just leave up the rest to Hope's Peak spreading over them. I'm ready whenever you are, Sonia-san. I won't get sick even if I'm just operating the thing. Soda-san hopped into the driver's seat, and then the shipping container in the back half of the truck opened, revealing a cherry-picker crane. As the crowd watched in awe, Princess Sonia stepped onto the platform, and with a motorized whir, the crane extended up towards the steeples where we were. At this moment, I understand the feelings of Asama Sanso's Incident's Wrecking Ball, and all of Sachiko Kobayashi at the same time. So, she meant she was going to ride up here herself? A simple, but therefore effective method of capture. We didn't have any weapons to drive her back with, so we could only stand and watch Princess Sonia approach, like children waiting for Santa Claus to arrive. The laser rangefinder function that came with Borgs displayed exactly how far she was as she drew nearer. 20 meters, 14 meters, 8 meters. That's enough of that, you pack of morons. Now that I thought about it, I hadn't seen Byakuya-sama in a while. On one of those 3 steeples, I now spotted him, sitting on the edge of a tower, golden hair fluttering, legs calmly crossed in front of the cloud, in the presence of an enemy, fair and square, smiling like a demonic overlord. Part 9. Some people would liken life to a game. It is true that a life aiming for the best ending may perhaps resemble a game. School, work, relationships, life plans. I myself approve of the attitude that these can be played like games to progress. Everything is a game to be won or lost. The winners will be drunk on the finest sake, while the losers are left with the bitter taste of misery. A game, that's all there is to it. Silence. Princess Sonia, Soda-san, and the crowd of people were all quietly listening to Byakuya-sama's words. What was he saying? What was he doing? Even I couldn't read him anymore. Undoubtedly, some winners will have later their lives fallen to ruin. And some people have lives that they alone are convinced are winning. There are losers who turn their lives around at the last minute, although there are also those whose efforts cannot net them a single victory over the course of their lives. There are no surefire ways to win or foolproof techniques. The starting conditions and the starting equipment are different as well. The amount of time and money available to invest differs for each person. It is an unkind and unfair game, and that's why it is so much fun. But that's also why there are so many defeatists mumbling excuses about not having the drive to play. And well, it's not that I don't understand where they're coming from. Here, Byakuya-sama paused to take a breath as if gauging the effect of his words. There must be some of you who feel like this current incident is a somewhat special event too, whose own lives made games no more entertaining than fecal matter, but who now rejoice at the arrival of a worthwhile event at last. You are correct. This is a grand event that I, Byakuya Togami, have chosen to sponsor. A festival. An adventure. An extraordinary day. A dramatic twist. Am I telling you now that, on top of all that, I'm awarding you the bonus stage? Watch closely. Then Byakuya-sama took out the gold ingots we have found in the vault, and like a gift of heavenly whim, scattered them to the ground below. Let this declaration raise the curtain on the bonus stage. Whoever can bring me out of the burning church of bones the fastest, before that lot from Hope's Peak manages it, may collect this gold bullion. Part 10. Just to make sure, Byakuya-sama tossed down some more bullion. The crowd below scrutinized the gleaming gold bars, and realized that they were the real deal. Even watching from up on the tower, I could easily tell that a ripple was spreading out through their hearts. Suddenly confronted with this bonus stage, the crowd remembered their individual desires all over again. Why had they come to the Church of Bones in the first place? How should they use this bullion, if they got their hands on it? Now that this had happened, how utterly shameless should they be? It didn't even take 5 minutes for the pattern of their movements to change. They tried climbing up the walls, even with the flames still swirling around the building. They tried using mineral water as a fire extinguisher. They pushed their way towards Soda-san in the driver's seat. The crowd was doing whatever it could to get closer to Byakuya-sama. So they would really risk their lives for something like this after all. Byakuya-sama was enraptured by the sight he was looking down on. I was enraptured by his godliness once again, or more accurately, I should say I found it adorable. I wanted to go write Journey Under the Midnight Sun right away. I had a compulsion to compose. I wanted to work so badly. I wanted to carry out my life's purpose. I wanted to give the name of Blue Ink its meaning. My hands were itching. My brain was itching. My heart was itching. I am the verb to write made manifest. I am the act of writing made manifest. A writing machine. A word puppet. That was why. That was why. But I pushed countless thoughts aside, well aware of how I was blushing. He had everything stolen from him. His name, his status, and yet, he was fighting to reclaim and restore them, wearing a gorgeous tuxedo right next to me. So basically, right in this moment, am I the only one in the world who believes him? Do I have a monopoly on him? I've come to realize this fact. So, I'll just tell the world about how I felt instead. I was fucking ecstatic. Part 11. Citizens, you must not do this. Please stop. Do not touch the merchandise. Hey, what the hell are you... I told you, no touching that without permission. Princess Sonia and Soda-san couldn't handle the crowd. Appearing openly as students of Hope's Peak Academy had backfired on them. In the sense that they couldn't start killing off the people of Prague as easily as they had before. The people of the crowd were giving it all against their odds. Some were now trying to climb the crane and usurp the platform Princess Sonia was standing on. It was true that taking that platform might have been the quickest available route to reach Byakuya-sama. Citizens, please step down. It is dangerous. Only Japanese firefighters can do such a thing. There is something called the Dizome Shiki. Princess Sonia's trivia was drowned out by an ear-splitting noise. A high-pitched sound that felt like it should shatter my eardrums. No, it felt like it would break my ears entirely. I reflexively covered them, but with a stabbing pain still laid waste inside my head. Next came a sudden gust that rocked the steeple. Oh no! Princess Sonia's slender body seemed to drift off the platform. She was blown off into the far distance. If she were Team Rocket, there's no doubt this is where she'd be shouting, "Looks like Team Rocket's blasting off again!" What the hell is going on? Before I realized it, the whole site had become shrouded in a massive clouds of kicked up dust from the earth. And from within it, I saw a silhouette appear, a giant unshapely shadow. And when it finally appeared into proper view, I could see that it was an unbelievably outrageous vehicle. What had once been a transport vehicle was now loaded with 2 jet engines that looked almost like a crab's claws. I couldn't tell what meaning or purpose it had. It wasn't quite a weapon, it wasn't quite a vehicle. And it was extremely lopsided. Like a true millennial, I immediately turned to my search engine in my time of need.
Logs equals search result number 41908870. Class weapons. Title Eragon. A mine clearance vehicle developed by the Czechoslovak People's Army in the 1960s. Originally conceived of as a machine to melt snow at airports. It uses jet exhaust to strip away the ground surface layer, causing landmines to be blown away. Since detonating the mines was more economical, it was retired from the military service, and ways to further repurpose it have been developed. However, in practice, the unusual amount of dirt that is kicked up in the process of using it does not make it much more efficient for any type of personnel to use it, so plans were frozen.
There were 2 people riding on that failure of a weapon. They were both wearing white lab coats. One was a red-headed man who was carrying an umbrella despite the perfect fair weather. The other was a girl who I couldn't possibly see as older than an elementary school student, who was nonetheless the one controlling the Eragon. The whir of the jet engines reverberating, they sacrilegiously rode the Eragon over the gravestones to approach the Church of Bones. Hiroki-san sounded like he was trying to say something. Was he seriously still doing the zipping his lips thing? Forget about that, just please tell me whatever it is. Those guys are from the Hasegawa Research Institute.
Orcs equals search result. Number 659266750. Class institutions. Title, Hasegawa Research Institute. Directed by Yoshinobu Hasegawa. This research institute is not limited to a specific field, but performs research for all disciplines. A highly confidential institution. They do not publish a single report or paper of the results of their research. Though the administrative effects operate out of the famous enterprise MacGuffin Computers Inc., USA, they have consistently refused to comment on the Hasegawa Research Institute.
Even someone like me, who had deeper involvement with conglomerates and organizations than the average person, the Hasegawa Research Institute was something of an urban legend. Everyone knew it was there. Everyone knew its name and location, but nobody knew anyone who actually worked there. There was no shortage of rumors. Friends of friends developing new medications, acquaintances of acquaintances doing human experimentation at a facility deep in the mountains, and so on. But the number of people who actually knew anything for sure was a big fat zero. The Hasegawa Research Institute? You don't mean the Hasegawa Research Institute, do you? So, even a question like that wasn't totally pointless for me to ask. I think that's the only one there is, Hiroki-san shrugged. The Hasegawa Research Institute wants Byakuya-sama too? Well, to be more precise, it's the secret to the Togami family's prosperity that they're after. There's tons of people who want to get their hands on that. The Ketawan conglomerate and the Hasegawa Research Institute are just the tip of the iceberg. I would have liked to have heard more details, but the world wasn't about to wait. As soon as I thought that, I heard the high-pitched, ear-splitting noise again. The sound of the jet engines in the motion. The Uragan had already begun its attack. Bakum! The picture of Princess Sonia's face on the side of the cargo container collapsed in on itself violently. Soda-san sat panicking in the driver's seat without actually moving the Decatora. Soda-san, evasive maneuvers! Princess Sonia's voice. I saw her drifting on the wind, parachute open. But the Decatora did not move, and the Uragan, merciless, took the opportunity to assault the cargo container with the pressure from its jet engines. Bakum, 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 pop, pop, pop. Part of the crowd got caught up in the blast, smashed like cherry tomatoes. Maybe the rest of them realized the difficulty level of this bonus stage was far beyond their ability because they had fled from the vicinity like newborn spiders scattering. What boring idiots, Byakuya-sama half displeased. If they cling to their lives so desperately, they shouldn't have tried to play this game in the first place. Soda-san, please move the Decatora! Princess Sonia ran up to take the crowd's place, her parachute now gone. Sonia-san, even if you're the one asking me to do it, that still doesn't make me able to do it. Soda-san poked his head out of the driver's seat window, half crying. I seriously can't, I'm gonna get car sick and throw up right away. Princess Sonia, likely realizing that Soda-san wasn't willing to negotiate his boundaries, threw him out and started driving the Decatora himself. The grounds weren't large, so the two weapons moved around in circles, knocking down gravestones like dominoes as they went. The giant tires kicked up dirt and flowers, leaving countless tire tracks. Princess Sonia had some pretty decent driving techniques, and she circled around to end up behind the Uragan. Since the Uragan could only attack from the front, it couldn't do anything now except to try its hardest to dodge. Eek! Soda was running around, avoiding the lumps of iron swerving to and fro. Soda-san, what are you doing over there? You're the one who friggin' shoved me out of the truck, Sonia-san. Hurry and hop in the Decatora. That's impossible in so many ways. I'm gonna ball and hurl everywhere. But I cannot combine by myself. Come again? I would like to combine with you, Soda-san. Come again? As I said, I would like to combine. Sonia-san, I'm taking a high-res audio recording now so that you can say that thing one more time. Just hurry up and get in. He'd pissed her off. It might be appropriate to say it was like the adrenaline rush someone gets at the scene of the fire. In an astounding display of reflexes, Soda-san grabbed onto the moving Decatora and pulled himself up into the driver's seat. "Jack on!" The instant that Princess Sonia's sonorous shout rang out, the ka-chank of mechanical movement started up. Arms extended, legs came out, and what emerged was, "Prepare to face the boss, Decatora!" A humanoid robot. It was a robot that was very passionately designed to look like the stereotypical juvenile delinquent. The kind of faces you would find around high schools in Hiroshima. The driver's seat was now positioned in the robot's chest, and it sat in Princess Sonia, smiling ear to ear, and Soda-san blue in the face. It would have been crass to stoop as low to make fun of this thing, so everyone begrudgingly let it slide. The boss Decatora spread its limbs to mitigate the knockback, and fired a cannon with a shout of, "Back button fire!" The Uragan, which couldn't be expected to have very strong defenses, turned very forcefully to avoid it, but the boss Decatora immediately aimed again. And with a delinquent high school beam, I'm not entirely sure why, but it fired another bullet. The Uragan couldn't turn fast enough to dodge, and boom. However, the bullet flew off in a completely different direction, exploding midair. "How weak," came a voice. "Attacks from those who will not settle things with their fists are all too weak." In the middle of this battlefield, where a weapon was clashing against weapon, stood a flesh and blood human being. This person stood tall, arms crossed and legs spread apart, and were they giving a speech right there on the battlefield? "The call of the heavens, the call of the earth, the call of the people. The call to vanquish despair. Heed my words, fellowship of despair. I'm the warrior of hope, the masked muscle." Though, no matter how I looked at them, I couldn't see them being anyone other than Sakura Ogami-san in a mask. Part 12. Masks were an indispensable item during the Shek Carnival season. They covered your head, but not your muscles. Ogami-san, known as the masked muscle in her gaudy mask, closed the distance between herself and the boss Decatora with only a slight step. "I shall give you 3 seconds. She swung her fist down at the same time as Princess Sonia and Soda-san leapt out of the robot. The driver's seat, adorned with the trappings of a body kit, crumpled up like it was made of paper. I could hear the sound of the jet engines whirring from behind the waist of boss Decatora. The Uragan was shooting its air pressure at Ogami-san, and yet, destruction! With a passionate shout, it disappeared. The two weapons were rendered useless. This right here, was the true power of the super high school level martial artist. "Togami, I've heard the situation from Enoshima." Ogami-san looked up towards the slit. Ogami-san looked up towards the steeples. "You're acting overly distant, are you not? Why is it that you did not inform me of the truth?" "Well, isn't that something?" Byakuya-san clapped his hands in approval. "You don't have to worry about anything except functioning as an instrument of violence. Now be a good instrument of violence and eliminate all the other violence with yours. Look sharp, the next one is coming." The famous guitar riff from Lenny Kravitz's exemplary "Are You Gonna Go My Way" resounded. "What now?" "Me now!" A silhouette had appeared on top of the Uragan, giving a splendid guitar performance. "Taiko-chan?" As if she had reanimated it. The Uragan shot off the ground, kicking up another whirlwind of dust and dirt. Cloaked within it, Taiko-chan attacked Ogami-san. Ogami-san only stopped the guitar from crashing down on her own skull at the last minute. "Rah! Nyah!" I've narrowed down the phrase noise Jimmy Page used on his Les Paul. "Musical instruments should only be used for musical performances." Ogami-san brushed away the guitar entirely, but Taiko-chan shifted back to a normal position in midair, landing as if nothing happened at all. "That goes with the Hasegawa Research Institute," Hiroki-san revealed, dropping a bombshell like it was nothing. Apparently she was a watchdog sent to keep an eye on us. So that would make it Team 1, Hope's Peak Academy, Princess Sonia and Soda-san. Team 2, Hasegawa Research Institute, the 2 people in lab coats, and Taiko-chan. And Team 3, Team Byakuya-sama, the Ketoan conglomerate, Ugami-san, and us, making it a 3-way battle. Ugami-san and Taiko-chan were already clashing. Ugami-san seemed to have the upper hand in terms of skill, but the backup support of the Uragan was proving a hindrance, so she couldn't deal a finishing blow. Meanwhile, as far as I could tell, the boss Decatora had lost its control system. Princess Sonia was crossing her arms with a pout, while Soda-san was holding a bath bag. So long as I am calm and clear and still as the water, I am able to see through and stop your assault. So the Gar attacks won't make it through. Or at least that's what I want you to think. Kick! Megami-san calmly caught the kick of Taiko-chan sent her way. That was crafty, young lady. Huh, young ladies are always crafty, don't you know? You should spend less time building your muscles and more time enjoying the springtime of your youth. My muscles and my youth are one and the same. Huh, your poor youth. Taiko-chan shook her leg free, recommencing her strikes with the guitar. What the springtime of youth is really all about is going around and breaking the windows of your school late at night, and then starting up a band out of nowhere for your school festival and stuff. Are you forcing this springtime of youth upon me? Now go ahead and keep training your muscles without a whiff of romance. How disrespectful. I, too, walk the path of romance. Ogami-san's rebuff drove directly into Taiko-chan's side. This time, unsurprisingly, Taiko-chan wasn't able to right herself as she was being blown away, and she bounced off the ground like a rubber ball. But the Uragan let loose another blast of pressure to prevent Ugami-san from pursuing her. Taiko-chan took that opportunity to get to her feet, spitting blood. I can't believe you could actually exchange blows with a torero like me. Exchange blows? You overestimate yourself. You are wholly losing to me. Not on my watch. If I go ahead and agree with you on that, then that's what it's going to be. Don't you think the strength you get from denial is worth it? Why is it that you are so particular about aiming each blow? Because a one-shot kill is cool, right? I don't care about winning just based on having slightly more points. You cannot possibly think that such an option is available to you against me. You can't possibly think I haven't noticed that? Ogami-san's eyes widened, but the rest of her stayed still. Sure. The motion of my attacks is too exaggerated, but I've got a reason for that. It's not my job to beat you, it's just my job to stop you in your tracks. What do you mean? I attack, you dodge. The Uragan hollows out the ground. While it does, I feint an attack and scatter landmines. The Uragan covers everything in dust again. Whoops, you better not move too carelessly. There's gonna be a very high concentration of landmines in this area. Taiko-chan picked up the hem of her skirt, and several landmines fell out and rolled to the ground, spilling out like almost a feminine secret. Well done. Now I've prevented you from moving. I'm not going to try and underestimate your jumping ability, but I'm going to guess it's not good enough to break out of here without taking a single step. And what of yourself? Excuse me? You are also unable to move, correct? It appears that vehicle is capable of removing the landmines, but once they are removed, I shall pursue you. Ah, no need to worry about that. Behind Taiko-chan, a balloon inflated. Was she floating in the air just like the characters you saw in picture books? It turned out that the two in the lab coats riding the Uragan 2 had begun floating balloons inflating behind them. It's everyone's favourite Fulton recovery system, Taiko-chan shouted. We can get back out of here without having to take a single step through this minefield. A shadow appeared. When I looked up, I saw a low-flying transport creeping towards the ground. Shipew! Shipew! I thought I heard the sound of air being released. And as it turned out, a balloon had shot onto Byakuya-sama and also inflated, and he started floating away too. Byakuya-sama! I stretched out my hand, but there wasn't anything I was going to be able to do to reach the steeple on the opposite side of the building. Byakuya-sama rose up in the air in the blink of an eye, like a toy balloon that a child had carelessly let slip from their hand. Byakuya-sama! No, No, I don't want to be separated from anyone anymore. Don't make that face. Even though he was still floating high up in the air, Byakuya-sama wore a leisurely expression, his arms and legs crossed, like he was telling me that I didn't have to worry about him. Like he was cheering me on, saying that this hell shouldn't be enough to get me to back down. Now, Blue Ink, why don't you try and tell me what your mission is? It's that I must prioritize the writing of the biography at all times. Then observe. Observe this scene, this situation, this adversity. Then write. Write. Nei-san! Oh jeez! Oh gosh, oh boy, oh man! Nei-san! Yuako-san appeared high in the sky too. Now that I thought about it, there had been 2 other noises when balloons were fired. But obviously I hadn't had time to worry about the other one. Can you still hear my voice? Yes. This is an order. Listen well. Protect me, when all the world has turned against me. The transport collected all of the balloons and flew away. And then the Church of Bones finally collapsed, swallowing me up into the flames of rubble along with Hiroyuki-san. Hey everybody, so that was the end of chapter 3, and wow, what a chapter. That was a crazy chapter. There was lots of things going on there. For now, let's get on to the translator's notes. Very fun. There's lots of them today. So, Decatora. Some pictures might help you visualize it, so I'll put them up on screen right now. Very odd looking trucks. Obviously the shortening Decatora doesn't come from English directly, but from the Japanese katakana translation, or transliteration I should say, Decoration Toraku, as in decoration truck, because the truck is covered in decoration. Enviable influence is a reference to the skill that Sonia gives you in Danganronpa 2 and Togami gives you in Danganronpa 1. I'm pretty sure it was Sonia that said that. I can't quite remember. But that was just a small little reference. King Kong, I believe falling asleep for an overseas journey is being tied to the plot of King Kong vs. Godzilla, but Sonia gratuitously takes the opportunity to compare Soda himself to one or the other less commercially successful King Kong films on a meta level. So rest in peace, Soda. He will never get that. He will never get Sonia, and Danganronpa 2.5 doesn't count. Zealous and Howard. So Zealous from Slayers and Howard from Uninhabited Planet Survive are 2 other characters voiced by Akira Ishida, which is Togami's Japanese voice actor. And any parallels between the 2 of them are up to you, I suppose. Big Howdy is a line which is in the Osaka dialect with Sonia referring to herself in 3rd person. It's probably a reference to something, but it's currently unknown. If you do know, leave a comment and you'll get that big heart. That nice looking heart thing that you can do on YouTube now. Asama Sanso and Sachiko Kobayashi. So these are 2 very different references. So the Asamiya Sanso incident was a Japanese hostage situation in the 70s, in which the police used a wrecking ball to break into the building, which sounds very interesting, so I'll be sure to look that up later myself. Meanwhile, Sachiko Kobayashi is a famous anchor singer, and she's kind of a meme in Japan, nicknamed the last boss for her performances that can be raised on platforms in gigantic, elaborate dresses. It's kind of hard to describe in text, so here's some pictures, and there you can have a look. Incidentally, she is also the singer of the Monokuma Ando, which was featured in the Danganronpa anime. So that video has Monokuma rise up in the background to a similar winged costume as a parody. A Dizome Shiki literally means debut ceremony, so it's an annual firefighters event held on New Year's where firefighters traditionally present firefighting techniques to the public, and also do really cool stunts on ladders. The Team Rocket's blasting off again is just something that I changed myself because I thought it would, just because this is kind of like a, for the English speakers. So that's kind of a reference, but to, how Team Rocket they like at the end of the episode they get blasted off. But that actually originates from Anpanman. So the actual reference that I replaced was the they said Baiken Man. So the main villain from the popular children's series Anpanman and Baiken is what he says when he's defeated and blown away. So similar to Team Rocket's blasting off again. It's basically a portmanteau of bye-bye and Baiken, which means bacteria, which is from his name because he looks like a little bacteria thing. And Jack-on is the phrase used in the anime Armored Police Metal Jack to start the armor transformation sequence. And torera, which is a less common female version of torero, the Spanish word for a bullfighter. Technically in the original Japanese text, the general neutral kanji for bullfighter was given with a reading of torero, but I took the liberty of assuming that this was the author's mistake or a quirk of loanwords, not a conscious choice. So it wasn't intended to imply anything about Taiko's gender or proficiency in Spanish, so it was tweaked accordingly. Fun fact that she also does call herself like a cattle killer or a cow killer during the earlier chapters as well. Something to keep in mind, I guess. And the Fulton recovery system is a real-life method of getting surface units off the ground using balloons. It's a real interesting thing. Lots of pictures today. I hope you don't mind. There's some pictures. If you're just listening to this, I guess you can just come back later or look up yourself. And the the Uragan. That's a thing. Yeah, the Shek Uragan is a very strange looking vehicle. It looks more like a rocket launcher sort of thing, rather than what they were describing it as. But not entirely sure what they were, if what I'm showing here is the same thing or if it's something else. I guess it was like a modified Uragan or something. Yeah, so I'll have to. I'm not entirely sure about the Uragan myself. After doing a little bit of research, possibly just a made-up thing. That or it's the real sort of Soviet Uragan that he's kind of turned into a crab-looking thing. I'm not sure. I mean, it is just a story, so I mean, it's a story where literally Soda makes a giant mech that looks like a delinquent, so which is not too far off for Danganronpa, I suppose.